Welcome to Aging Insights. I'm Grace Egan, Executive Director of the New Jersey Foundation for Aging. The Foundation's mission is to enable seniors to live with independence and dignity in their communities. Aging Insights is produced by the Foundation to provide information and resources to boomers, seniors, and caregivers. The primary focus of the show is to connect people to their community-based programs. Towns across New Jersey are recognizing senior and boomer power. Many towns have supported senior centers for over a decade, but as today's seniors' needs change, so do the programs that the centers offer. Today's guests will help us understand what trends they are seeing and how they address the changing needs of seniors in their communities. We are joined by Rachel Steinberg, Director of the East Brunswick Department of Aging, and Bonnie Leibowitz, Director for the Monroe Township Office of Senior Services. Thank you for coming on today's program. I think this is an important topic because we do talk about the county offices on aging, but I think it's important to recognize what the municipalities and the townships are also providing their seniors. So Rachel, why don't you take a little bit of time and tell us what a typical senior center looks like and talk about yours.
Okay, the East Brunswick Senior Center, which is part of the Department on Aging, will be 40 years old next year.
Wow, that's more than one decade.
Yes, yes. And
okay.
We have grown and changed quite a deal, quite a lot. And basically a senior center, be it in East Brunswick, Monroe, anywhere in the state, is really a focal point of the community for older adults to come and be involved in activities, programs where we enhance their independence. That's a big goal, to have people stay safely in their community as long as they can, and to use their abilities and skills, and to also provide volunteer opportunities, and not only within the center, but also within their community.
Well, I think that's a very helpful overview. So in particular, what does your Department of Aging provide?
We provide, the Department on Aging provides social services to all residents of East Brunswick. You do not have to be a member of the senior center in order to come to the department for information, and you know, we serve the whole community.
So if I lived in East Brunswick and I came in and I wanted to know about services, maybe for an aunt or a mother who also lived in East Brunswick, so why don't you just give us a typical, you know, request that comes across your counter?
Their loved one does not even have to live in East Brunswick. They could be living in California.
Oh.
But we would give information to make sure that their loved one is taken care of. People will come in, of course, with questions about Medicare and Medicaid insurances, about transportation, housing. It really runs the gamut. We provide caregivers group. We've done that now for about 9 years, my assistant director and I. And if we don't have the answer, we hook people up with community services. And people don't really appreciate that senior centers are the source for much of this information, that they don't know where to turn. And hopefully people will think, let's call up our local senior center, because they have the information that could help my loved one.
Yeah, I'm guessing that if you don't know if you have a senior center, the best place to call would be your municipality, your administrator, and say, is there a senior center? And also for municipalities that perhaps are just beginning to think about it, those calls might be important. Rachel, you must have a very extensive program agenda and maybe staff to carry it off.
I have a very dedicated staff. We have a kitchen coordinator, a chef. We serve lunch.
Oh, you offer lunch?
Yeah, we offer lunch, wonderful lunches, which brings a lot of people in. The younger seniors will have lunch, meet friends before a class or after a class.
What kind of classes?
We have anything from Zumba.
Oh, Zumba.
Zumba,
Right.
yes, I've watched. We have.
You don't want to demonstrate?
No,
Okay.
Unless your insurance is very high, I'm not going to demonstrate.
Okay.
But we have very active seniors that are involved in a number of exercise classes. And because we have people anywhere from 60 to way into their 90s, we have classes that kind of meet their level of ability, and they have to be safe, that's for sure. So we have Zumba, we have Tai Chi, we have 2 different kinds of yoga, 3 different kinds of yoga classes. We also have general traditional exercise classes 3 times a week. And we also have classes for our memory, exercises for our brain.
Ask. Great.
Memory Matters that my assistant director, Sharon Riley Morosi, has been running for a number of years. We also have speakers that come in. So it's a whole wide range. It's educational. We have trips. So it's not just a gym. And we try to focus, again, on all abilities and interests.
Now, this is when someone can come to you. Are you able to help seniors that may be more homebound in terms of getting them services in their home?
Yes, we do. We get calls all the time. If a person can't come in, we try to assess the situation. Either my assistant director and I will go out and evaluate, or we'll speak to a family member, or we get protective services and sometimes. And there's outreach programs through Rutgers. It used to be UMDNJ, it's now Rutgers, COPSA program. So yes, we absolutely do try to assess the needs of our homebound seniors. And for close to 30 years, we've had a senior meals program. People know that as Meals on Wheels, but it's so people get a wellness check, those that live alone and are most vulnerable.
And you have volunteers that deliver those meals?
Yes, but we could always use more volunteers. We have wonderful, wonderful, dedicated volunteers.
That's great. It's nice that, as you said, you can incorporate a wellness check into delivering those meals.
Absolutely, and that's why volunteers are so important. And the county, we're partners, of course, with the county for this program.
Middlesex, that's great. Now, you've mentioned how old the senior center is. How long have you been at the senior center?
I've been there about 13 and a half years now. It seemed like 2 days.
It seems like yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's great. You've seen a lot of changes, no doubt, and I really want to touch on the current trends and different things like that. But let's ask Bonnie what she sees happening at her senior center. And Bonnie, how long have you been at Monroe?
I will soon be celebrating my 10th year.
Oh, wow.
So that's very exciting. And it, as Rachel said, it just started, it feels like it just was yesterday. But we've experienced a lot of changes because we actually have a new building, a freestanding building. So it's now bringing a huge group of new people into our senior center.
Well, you're also located in a different community than Rachel is. So I think, Monroe has, many of the adult communities. And so is that a challenge, or does that bring a new perspective in terms of programs you have to provide, or that your members or participants want to see?
I think we, as the Senior Center, are the melting pot of the community. So each of the 10 adult communities that do exist, and Monroe proper, that does exist in terms of seniors, have their own clubhouses, they do their own programs. But the Senior Center happens to be able to offer everyone to come together so that they can meet new people, socialize with people that are not necessarily living in their community.
Well, I think that's very important, and no doubt, as you say, it's an opportunity for people to get out. And I'm presuming people might drive to your center?
Most people drive. We actually have transportation that we provide with one bus driver from a person's home to our senior center, and then a separate transportation department that will provide trips and medical transportation within our town.
And so I guess as people are coming from their adult communities and they're living in the communities, they all participate in the programs. Is it a trick to integrate people, or how does that work?
We invite people to become members of the Senior Center, and also the Friends of the Senior Center, which is our fundraising arm. People make their choices. So we have people who come for specific interests that they may have that may not be offered in their own particular community. And it's a variety. We also have support groups and a variety of support groups that are open to anybody who would like to come for whether it be Parkinson or diabetes or cancer support groups, et cetera.
Well, I think Rachel gave us a pretty good idea of some of the activities that are offered. You too must have a busy calendar. So the wellness programs you mentioned are very important, but what other programs do you offer in your new site, which I know you mentioned? You slipped that in.
It has been a great journey. We are able to offer all kinds of programs, so exercise being one of them, including that we're starting jazzercise next month. So that's something new. And again, that kind of seems to attract some of the younger seniors in terms of what they do. Zumba is also a big part.
You want to demonstrate? No?
Thanks, but no thanks. But we do offer a lot of that, a lot of new art programs, a lot of programs where we're just able to accommodate so many more people versus where we were in our previous space.
I know, I haven't seen your previous space, and I'm excited to see your new center. I know you mentioned you just recently had a high tea.
It was the Friends of the Senior Center who just had a high tea, and they had 172 people who attended that. So that it was really, really great. And we do have accommodations for very large groups, if appropriate, based on the program that we're offering. But we also do offer several things that may be different than other senior centers. We offer home food shopping by way of computer. So in other words, a person who is unable to maneuver a computer, they can call in their order. We'll put it online for them, and then either two of the companies that do home delivery will actually deliver it right to their door.
Oh, I think that's very nice. I've always thought that whether you're a senior with some limited mobility or a busy midlife career person, that home delivered shopping would be really helpful. So I think that's nice. I remember years ago, probably in your old building, we actually gave a grant for some of the New Jersey Foundation for Aging gave a grant for some of the computers to be installed. So I'm sure your technology has been upgraded since then.
Yes,
but I think that's very nice. And do you have a lunch program?
We do not have a lunch program, but we do have a wonderful new cafe. So we are always in the process of serving, for lack of another word, nosh. And coffee and tea will always be available to everybody.
And are volunteers, stepping up for these
Immensely,
activities?
Grace. It's been just such an exciting opportunity for everyone. I don't think any senior center can work without volunteers. And they have just been an extraordinary part of not only adding to our staff's resources, but to adding to all the resources that we're able to do. Because without the volunteers, we would not be the success that we are.
I know some centers and departments on aging have the SHIP coordinators. I'm just curious, do you have a SHIP coordinator that works with you?
We have two SHIP.
Why don't you say what SHIP stands for?
Okay, SHIP stands for the State Insurance Program, so that it helps people who have Medicare problems or need help with any of the entitlement programs that might be involved in the state, that they may be appropriately able to access.
Right, help people discern what's in their claims bills and a variety of other things. So I think that's good. I think that's, and I probably will touch back with Rachel about that. It just seems to me there are so many questions, and oftentimes when you're working with people in an adult community, they may have other assistance, but for the residents that live in the town, that might be an important service to offer. So, and as you said, so when a volunteer comes to you, do they have something in particular they want to help with?
It might be. We have an application process, so we ask them specifically what they are interested in. So it could be anything from cooking to helping with a computer, or actually teaching. We have a Spanish class because people want to learn how to speak Spanish. We have guitar lessons going on right now because someone has that talent. We have a chorus that will be performing in one of our summertime, nighttime series. So we have a variety of volunteers as well as vendors who come in to offer a lot of different kinds of opportunities.
Those educational programs that Rachel also mentioned. So I'm just curious, do you see a variety of things that are changing? I mean, now that you're in a new center, I guess the space allows you to do more. And is it in a different location physically from where you were before?
It is. It's about 3.5 miles away from where we once were, but on a very large piece of old farmland, if you will. So we've had a few visitors along the way.
I bet. Oh, you mean
Animal.
animal visitors.
Oh, right. Okay. No bears, I hope.
No bears.
But maybe deer.
in Monroe they've had bears, but not where we're located.
That's great.
But it is a wonderful opportunity for everybody to come, and it also allowed us this past year, for the first time that we were here, to offer a Thanksgiving dinner for people who unfortunately have families who live far away or they
Right.
had no place to go. So we offered Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day.
Celebration. That's very
It was
nice.
a wonderful celebration.
That's
yeah.
very nice. I'm sure that you both are seeing a lot of changes. And Rachel, I guess I'm curious, what trends have you been seeing over the 13 years that you're there in terms of changes?
I think the group, now when I first came, the group is very homogeneous. People wanted to do the same things, interested in the same things, and did things as groups. And as the East Brunswick population has gotten more culturally diverse, age diverse, socioeconomically diverse, we have looked at our offerings and our programs and services and have added new ones, have canceled some. And so we're constantly evaluating and reevaluating the needs and the interests of our population. But I think all senior centers, we all do the same thing, but we do it differently.
Absolutely.
And I think the bottom line is, when we say senior center, I think many of the younger seniors have a very negative stereotype. And what I say to people is, come, try it once or twice, have lunch, take a class.
Right.
Do something you haven't done. It's a laboratory. Now you have the time to experiment. And what's most important, you can have a fancy building, you can have the greatest
Right.
schedule in the world, but I think the most important aspect of a center is the socialization, to help people. People can get very lonely and isolated. And the senior center is a place where you can join with peers that understand some of the losses and some of the positives of aging, and support each other.
Yeah. I think what's nice about your center, and all centers I think are unique and offer, I mean, you're near the library, you're near the TV station. I mean, there's a lot of nice things that are really in your hub. So people come to that location anyway, so attracting them into the senior center.
Absolutely.
And I was also going to say, I think that, the atmosphere is important and staff is important.
Correct.
And I think, that's another important element, and obviously you've been working with the staff you have for quite a while.
I get so much more out of my job than I feel that I give. The stories, the caring. You see people that come in, they might be depressed and again isolated, and they just blossom. They become instructors. We have wonderful volunteers as well that do teach a number of classes. We don't have a budget big enough to do everything that we do, so we absolutely have wonderful, wonderful volunteers. But the beauty of it is the warmth, the atmosphere. We have a sign in our lobby that says, "There are no strangers here, only
very
new
nice.
friends."
And I know I mentioned the SHIP coordinator. I think there are a lot of other services that you sort of mentioned that you can tap into in terms of getting access for individuals. And did you both do the VITA program, the Volunteer Tax Assistance Program?
Oh yes, AARP. I think
They train the volunteers.
I think we've had them, I think, for 27 years.
Right.
Or even more than that. I think it maybe even predated, I'm not quite sure about, but for a number of decades now.
Right.
And we saw close to 300.
Really. And I just want to mention that because it's such an array of services
Right.
that someone can tap into at a senior center. And Bonnie, you must be seeing new trends too. I mean,
We are seeing a lot of new, younger people coming, the baby boomers starting to come to senior centers. They may not stay as long in terms of, they may come for an exercise program, very interested in the wellness side of it, and anything that helps them to grow in terms of education. So we do see that, and they're also the newer volunteer.
Right.
They're the people who want to get involved. They may not have as much time because they're so diverse in what they do. They're still babysitting for their grandchildren, they're traveling a lot, but they do want to make sure that they're giving back to their community.
I'm betting that you're also seeing adults walking in that are obviously your target population, but they're caring for their aging parents.
Yeah, the sandwich generation.
Yeah, they're older adults. They're, you know, your target population, but there's a generation ahead of them that they're still engaged with.
We've had, as I said before, a caregivers group for many, many years, about 10 years. We have had speakers come in and also inform and support people. It's difficult. You're taking care. You're aging yourself. You have aging parents that might not live close.
Right.
So, and they want to stay well, and they have grandchildren and adult children that perhaps they're supporting emotionally and financially. So yes, we do direct them and support them.
I would think so. I think that, I think we will see more of that need, which is great as we all experience great longevity. I'm just curious, what kind of gets you excited each day when you go to work? Rachel?
Every day is different.
Every day is
It's
different.
the people, and the interaction. I'm always learning something new. People can tell in my eyes if I'm having a good day or a bad day, and it's just sharing. I'm a clinical social worker, so I'm used to sitting and doing therapy in my earlier years. And this is, you can be where the person is and see people grow and develop. It's a real give and take. And the beauty of seeing people, as I said before, just blossom, and that we are helping people age successfully in big ways and little ways.
So it enriches their lives as well as yours.
Absolutely.
It sounds like every day. And Bonnie, I mean, what do you see? What excites you? What gets you going in the morning?
I think some of it's very similar to what Rachel is, the fact that no day is the same. We have people who are just so grateful. Grateful to have the center, grateful to have people who care about them, meaning us, the staff, and volunteers who interact with them on many, many different levels. Grateful to know that they have a place that if they just need a hug, someone's there to do it and to give it to them. I think that's what's so beautiful. We're not in this business, we can't fake this business of loving it. You have to be very passionate, and that includes our staff, our wonderful staffs that really care about the older adult and how we can make a difference in their lives day to day.
I think you've really covered a lot of territory, and I guess I'm wondering, for somebody that doesn't have a senior center, and we didn't talk about this before, but for someone who doesn't have a senior center in their town, how would you encourage them to kind of reach out and do their local advocacy to set one up? Either of you. What do you think?
Well, I think they have to speak to the powers that be in their town and get a group together. I mean, that's how we started. The mayor sat with interested parties in the town, and just from grassroots, started very small, and 40 years later, here we are, with a whole host of programs.
Right. If my memory serves me correct, Middlesex has 21 towns and 21 senior centers.
We're blessed.
Which are all different, but I think that's a unique feature. That's not necessarily true in every county, and New Jersey has a lot of towns. But would you echo that, Bonnie?
I would. I think there are several places in several municipalities that at least offer some kind of gathering, even if it's only once a week, maybe some trips occasionally, but the idea is that they're not isolated. Some people may call it a recreation center, where it still offers people a chance to gather together and at least have some programming, whether it be an exercise program or just an opportunity to sit down and have a chit chat with a neighbor.
Right, or read a book together, or discuss local projects that they're working on or whatever.
Right. We have current events that's being run by a wonderful volunteer. I mean, we do a lot with the schools, intergenerational programs, which is very important. They're just growing and growing. So you never know what's going to formulate and what program and service that we're going to have. It's a really partnership with the older adult and with staff.
Both of your towns have been wonderfully supportive, and I think
extremely.
that's what we really want to encourage.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. So I'd like to thank you both for sharing your time with us today. I think it was a wonderful program. And I want to remind people that Aging Insights is produced by the New Jersey Foundation for Aging and is made possible by donations to the foundation. To become a sponsor for Aging Insights shows, please go to our website at www.njfoundationforaging.org, or you can call our office at 609-421-0206. And we also have an online survey about Aging Insights on the website, so feel free to provide your comments on this show or other topics that we should consider in the future. We want to remind you to find out about senior services and where your senior center might be. You can also contact your County Office on Aging, also known as the Aging and Disability Resource Connection in your community. Their numbers are on our website, or you may call the state hotline number at 1-877-222-3737. Thank you for watching this episode of Aging Insights, and remember, aging is everyone's business.